Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Zip Pop Culture. Hope everybody's having a groovy Sunday so far. It's, it's 10 a.m. here in Vegas, the heartland of America. What is it, 2 o'clock back east? So you've had enough time, I think, to figure out if it's a groovy Sunday or if it's, totally lame. But I hope it's groovy. So, hope everybody's doing well. We are here for another live stream in the wake of what has turned out to be my most popular video I've ever posted. Let me give you some background for my genius. Months ago, I got the nod so that I could apply for the full partner program on YouTube, monetization, etc. And right about the same time is when YouTube's AI started nuking people's channels. And of course, these are people, on the partnership program, whatever. So I thought, I'm still a small channel. A lot of my videos don't get a lot of views on them anyways. I sign up for this thing. It's going to be more advertising probably that people are going to have to put up with. And I don't know that my content is attractive enough to withstand more advertising. But I'm going to probably be making upwards of $5 a month on this thing. So I'm like, yeah, it's kind of dangerous at the moment. It's more commercials for people. Maybe in a year or so, if I've grown more, if I'm getting better views, maybe it's worthwhile to do. But right now, I'm not going to bother. And then Wednesday, I post a review of a Archie TV pilot that was probably made in 63, maybe made in 64, but probably 63, which I'm assuming, oh yeah, I'll get 30 views. I'll get 30, 40 views on this thing. Maybe I'll get lucky. I'll get 100 views. That would be great. But, it's just one of those little videos. And I don't check my numbers much. I used to check them a lot. I kept graphs of things, just trying to figure out how things were doing, maybe what I should do better here or there. I don't really do that anymore. So it was maybe a day or two after I look at the numbers. I didn't even look at the numbers right away. I kind of scrolled to the bottom of this thing to see if there are any comments on videos that I should look at. And there were a couple comments on the Archie video. Okay, cool. And then I'm kind of scrolling back up and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I gained 30 subscribers. Oh, wow. That's kind of cool. It's probably from the Archie video. And I looked, I'm like, 2,000 views. Oh my God. 2,000 views. Cool. You never know when one of your videos will do well when you're a small channel. And so now it's up to 10,000. So it's past the, it happened on Fifth Avenue Christmas movie review. That was the first one I ever had that did really well. It was very early on. I thought I was set and it went right back to mediocrity. But yeah, so 10,000. And now I'm going, yeah, if I was in the partnership program, I could have made a couple bucks off of that. C'est la vie. C'est la vie. Any rate, though. So, but it's fun when one of them actually does well, and it's but you never know. In Archie pilot, Drac Pack did extremely well for me. I wasn't expecting that. The Mighty Heroes. That was the last one that did really well for me. Not as well as this, but really well. And it was, again, sometimes it's the little obscure ones that really catch people. But anyhow, so Dad's Den is doing okay at the moment. Now it's time to do a big rollicking live stream with probably, 5 people watching it to keep me humble. But I welcome everybody watching it. I really do. And I hope you jump in the chat. So if there's kind of a big pop culture thing at the moment, it is Supergirl. And it's not a big pop culture thing for a good reason, unfortunately, for them, although not terribly surprising to me. It is not doing well in the theaters. It's not me even making its expectations, which weren't particularly great at the moment. They've kind of pushed the idea that, well, if it makes $300 million, that'll be great. That's the studio. That's not true, most likely. Even if you accept the numbers they've put out for the cost of the film and the marketing, it needs to make $500 million just to make ends meet. And it doesn't look like it's going to go there. It probably needs more than that because they're probably downplaying some of the expenses, but we don't know that for sure. Maybe it isn't. But so if they only got $300 million off of this thing, they're already probably $200 million in the hole. And at this point, it looks like they may only walk away with a couple $100 million. The international's not doing well, etc. And it's an interesting case because a lot of the bad reviews are coming from people who probably defended this kind of stuff more in the past. And so it's coming from, more than one side, so to speak, coming from corporate, coming from YouTubers. I haven't watched it. I have no plans on watching it. Did not look appealing to me in the least. Not a single trailer looked appealing to me. And I like the Supergirl character as she was formulated in pre-crisis DC. I don't really know much. I know there's a post-crisis one too. They'll make it back to it. Yeah, because if a movie does really, really poorly in theaters, especially with a lot of parents not wanting to bring their kids to it, the toys are going to do really well. That was what they said about Masters of the Universe. Well, they're doing really well. Amazon's told us they're selling like hotcakes on Amazon, who put out the movie. And then Target had them marked down like a week later. No, it's not going to probably do real well in toy sales either. Yeah, it's again, it's supposed to be kind of no matter how screwed up you are as a woman, you're a woman, so it's okay. You shouldn't try to maybe change. I don't know. It seems like it's that kind of thing, which is a sentiment I don't particularly agree with for women or for men. I don't think you should destroy yourself over traumas that you've gone through and problems that you've gone through. But I do think you should try to heal. I think you should try to move past them to the best of your ability. You don't want to wallow in them. The idea, well, some people are just messy. Yeah, they are messy, but people get really sick and tired of being around messy people all the time because the rest of us are working hard to get our lives together and do something, and having somebody constantly dragging you back is not really all that appreciated, honestly. We go through messy periods, but you want to kind of get out of them at some point. Okay, anyways, that's just my opinion versus other people's opinions. Fine. You want to make a movie about that? Awesome. Supergirl is not that movie, right? My Dinner with Andre. Many people will tell you wonderful things about this film. But My Dinner with Andre as a Batman film would probably be kind of stupid. Now, you may watch that Batman, My Dinner with Batman, and say, it actually is really well done. But it's not really a Batman movie, is it? Why are you using this character to do something that is not really fit for this character? There are probably characters better fit for this than Supergirl. It's based very loosely, apparently, on a comic book that kind of plays with that and changes everything about the character. But at any rate, you keep doing weird things with these characters. It's a Gunnism, obviously. James Gunn likes this kind of stuff. But here's the thing. James Gunn is not mainstream. He is not mainstream. He got a lucky hit with Guardians of the Galaxy, which he really didn't follow up on all that well. He's not really a mainstream guy, so he's probably not the guy you want to have in charge of this kind of stuff. And he's probably on his way out at this point because he's lost money on this film. He's probably lost money on Superman, although there's a lot of obfuscation. I pronounced that really badly. There's a lot of bullshit about that. How much it made, how much it cost. I don't know that his other two projects, the Peacemaker, the Creature Commandos, did particularly well. So it's been a lot of mediocrity and failure from the guy. And who could have guessed, that you're trying to take a guy who's fringe and make him mainstream. You cannot take the fringe and bring it to the center. It will not hold. Ever. Dude, a lot of the stuff I like is on the fringe, but it belongs on the fringe. That's where it's coolest. That's where it's the most fun. It can't be the center. As soon as it does become organically popular, it stops being the fringe and it starts being monetized. And then all of us people who used to like it go, kind of sold out. That's the nature of this beast. That is the nature of this beast, folks. Oh, okay, Fabrizio. Looks like DC's version of Ms. Marvel. Yeah, basically. Although, like, which Ms. Marvel? Because, that was one of the early comics I collected because they were cheap. The back issues were cheap. And I was just addicted to comic books and I didn't have a lot of money. So I jumped in on Ms. Marvel, Spider-Woman, and She-Hulk. Because I could grab the back issues for 25 cents a pop. Because they weren't popular. And this would have been about 86. They weren't popular. They weren't collected. Partly that's because they hadn't had Adam Hughes and Frank Cho drawing them on covers yet. That would come much later. Because it was a big shock to me. Like when I got back into comics again and I started looking at back issues. I'm like, oh, I could fill out some of the She-Hulks. And I'm like, whoa, these ain't cheap anymore. These are a little, I mean, they weren't expensive, but I'm like, oh, I was hoping these would still be real cheapies that I could grab. But yeah, early Ms. Marvel was definitely more feminist, although again, written by guys. So there's the male feminist angle maybe is different from the female feminist angle at any given moment. I'm reading like the Perez Wonder Woman's, and it's like, it always feels like they're trying a little too hard, but it was there, but she also wasn't an a-hole, she was cool. And and the main male chauvinist she was going up against on a daily basis was J. Jonah Jameson, who's a butthole, whether he's being mean to women or to men or to anybody else. He's just a butthole. So there was that kind of angle that it wasn't like she specifically had a problem with that guy who was her boss, technically. She was like editor of a magazine that he was publisher of. But yeah, you didn't get like, it wasn't mean-spirited and stuff. It was done pretty well. So yeah, I mean, it is kind of like that, but it's like, it's just so, it's this current day feminism is just odd. Current day feminism is very misogynistic. That's the reality. And there was a strain of that even back in the 60s and 70s when it was starting to kind of emerge as a cultural phenomenon. There were, hey, we want an equal shot at things. And then there were, men are all like, abortions because they don't have the right chromosomal structure. There was that ugly stuff right from the beginning. And it's kind of become to the fore at this point. I think because so much of the normal stuff it happened. It's like the victories were won. Let's move on. The folks who were left were the ones who were like really angry and really ugly about stuff. And that's kind of what's morphed into it. But I mean, if you look at so much of this stuff nowadays, here's a topic I didn't expect to get on. It's just like, it seems to take an attitude that the only good version of a woman is the worst version of men, which at the same time they criticize heavily. It's like they want women who exhibit toxic masculinity by their definition. It's really odd, and it's not really well thought out, I think. And I think it's really more a lot of personal problems masquerading as a philosophy than it is a real philosophy, to be honest with you. But I think it's funny that now like the favored version of Wonder Woman is the one running around with a giant phallic symbol, a sword, which is something feminists made fun of back in the day. That's what swords were. It was just boys running around holding their you-know-whats. And now that's like, well, that's the ultimate now for this ultimate female superhero who didn't start out that way. She had a very different point in the universe of restraining, rather than jabbing people with things. It's just weird, man. It's just so weird. Anyways, Supergirl's not doing well, and it's not a surprise to me, and it sort of shows there's hardliners that are never going to learn. And I don't know if Paramount Warner Brothers is going to figure it out anytime soon, but you've now got two pretty much failed DC cinematic universes under your belt, neither one of which really did what you wanted them to do. I think they did better ultimately with the Zack Snyder one, although that was also when the superhero craze was a lot stronger. So that helped a bit. And then it kind of petered out on them. At the same time, it was petering out for Marvel. But they were also both kind of making the same mistakes along the way. Dude, just make a damn action movie. A little romance in it. A little comedy in it. It's not complicated. It's like, the joke for me is, if they took, and just like for normal action movies, at this point in time, if you took a bunch of Schwarzenegger and Stallone action film scripts and you just trained an AI on them, it could probably write a better action movie than the average writer could do right now, because it wouldn't be trying to inject all this modern stuff into it. It would just find the formula. You'd just get some big set pieces with some quips. You'd have a little bit, like I said, a little romance in it, a few funny bits. The villain would go down hard. You'd probably get blown up. And you could make fun of that and say, well, yeah, that's AI slop. But you know what? Action movies were kind of slop in their day anyways. From that standpoint, they weren't groundbreaking because they weren't meant to be groundbreaking. They were meant to be action movies. So they provided action, and people watched them and enjoyed them. And some of them have become legendary as a result of it. Like, there are certain things where you need human creativity to make something deep and powerful and meaningful. But there's also things that don't need that at all, right? Think about all the kind of B-movie mysteries that used to be produced. They're formulaic, but they're fun. Think about the dark house, kind of movies, right? People running around and there's going to be secret passages and there's going to be a creepy butler and all that other stuff. And you go, yeah, but they're all kind of the same. They're formula movies. The formula movies work and they're fun and they're not Oscar winners. That's fine though. Most movies don't win Oscars. Most movies do not get critical acclaim, but a lot of those movies become cult classics and are enjoyed to this day. And that's all you got to do with superhero movies. Now hopefully you can find a way to make them not too formulaic. So there's some twists and something interesting, and you could really build on the personality of the villains. You don't need to redeem the villain, but the personality is important. 66 Batman was all about that. Frank Gorshin said the villains are the kind of main characters on Batman. It's not really Batman. It's the Riddler, it's the Joker, it's Catwoman, it's Penguin. And he was kind of right, Batman's a little bit flat in his delivery, but he was supposed to be. That's how Adam West delivered it on purpose. But, the fun was the villains, Frank Gorshin hamming it up and Cesar Romero, etc. That's so you want that in a superhero movie. You don't need to redeem them, but let them be kind of larger than life and fun and evil enough that you want to see them really go down at the end of the film. Like yeah, okay, cool. I wanted to see the Joker get his. Doesn't mean they have to kill him, by the way. They do that way too much. But, does mean you want to see him, his plot foiled and he goes to jail. You want some personality. You want a little emotion. You want to connect. You want to feel the rush of heroism and doing the right thing and triumph. And it's just like, dude, it's simple, and they just cannot bring themselves to do it. You have got to get these people out of these positions of authority who cannot make a simple superhero movie. You should be knocking these things out of the park. Doesn't mean they're all going to make $1 billion, but they should all be making money. They should be generating comic book and toy sales and other merchandising. They should make people feel good. That is not what Supergirl's designed to do. You know, now Superman, I think, was, but I think you got a guy in charge who can't do that. He's just not good at that kind of thing. He's going to sabotage himself because he thinks it's deep. You know, it's like that line from that, was it Ben Folds 5? Because you think it's cool, being poor is cool. They think being dingy, dirty, ugly, all that is cool. It's not cool. It's cringy at best. But hey, what's another $200-300 million that you lose? What's the big deal? What's the big deal? I'm sure the next Superman movie will just knock it out of the park. No problem. And you know what? It better. It better. I mean, maybe they'll do well with that Clayface thing. But again, it's like, we're going to make a body horror picture. You don't need a Batman villain to do that. A Clayface is there to fight Batman. That's the point of the thing. You can do something similar. You can just make it like Obsession wasn't based on a damn superhero. You know, they didn't make Obsession, but like have it be based around friggin' The Flash. It's just a damn horror movie. And it's doing really well. Consistently well. Consistently well. I shouldn't feel like I could do the job of these executives better than they can because I have no experience in that realm. I should be able to say, hey, they know their stuff. They got the experience. You mess up once in a while, but instead I'm like looking at it going, I almost would have to be better at their jobs than they are. I don't think I could screw this up more than them. I just don't think I could. I really don't think I could. That's sad. That is sad. Let's talk about something, though, that's a little more happy. Oh, what's that now? Well, apparently, it has been announced that, if I'm mispronouncing his name, I apologize, Genndy Tartakofsky is going to produce a Conan cartoon. And, that might be okay. Now, full disclosure, I was never a fan of Dexter's Lab. I like Powerpuff Girls that he worked on with Craig McCracken. But there were certain tropes that I felt like he overused in cartoons. So I wasn't like a full-on fan. But I do know that his Star Wars cartoon was beloved. And I know a lot of people really like his Primal cartoon, which does, both of those feel like they could fit into something that could be really, really cool with Conan. And it's supposed to be during his days as a pirate on the Black Coast with Belit. So that could be really cool. We'll see. We'll see what they produce with that. Conan, and he might be the hero we need in a current age, but he's like poison for current day executives. So the question is, how much freedom will Tartakovsky have to make the Conan that he wants to make? And does he want to make one who's true to the roots? I don't know. I have no idea. But we'll see. We'll see. That might be cool. So it's something to keep your eyes on. Moving forward, it might be a good cartoon, and God knows we could use some good entertainment. And again, we talk about the whole masculine feminine thing. Conan's a really great example of, again, not a perfect character. He's morally gray at best. He's kind of the anti-hero who does heroic things, even though he would just as soon not be doing those heroic things. And he would really prefer to come out of that heroic thing with a chest of gold or a very comely winch, you could say. So he's that kind of character, which I think could be very popular right now. But he's also a character, steadfast, honest, loyal, even beyond the point that he sometimes should be to people. Courageous dude, persistent, a lot of great qualities for men and for women, by the way, because the virtues are not divided between sexes. The virtues are the virtues for everybody. That's the whole trying to separate them is silly. It doesn't work. It's why a virtuous female character can be inspirational to men and a virtuous male character can be inspirational to women. It's the virtues that are inspirational. Doesn't matter what the carrying downtown. Anyhow, so that's something to keep a lookout. And apparently, there's also a new Daffy Duck short coming to theaters that premiered at the Annecy Film Festival Daffy season. The first theatrical Looney Tunes short in over a decade. Now, last year they did the, was it The Day the World Blew Up, I think which was a Porky Daffy thing, which was actually pretty good. I enjoyed that. I didn't know what I was going to get when I went in. I had a couple qualms, but by and large, I liked it. It felt very 30s. It felt very, Bob Clampett, Tex Avery, but especially Bob Clampett. That's what they were going for. And I think they did pretty well with that, as much as they could, in the way things are done now. So this might be good. I kind of like that image. It kind of has the right feel to it. They've done a thing where they've tried to modernize. Disney did that with Mickey. I didn't like the style. I didn't like the design on it at all. Don't downgrade it, man. Don't downgrade. Look, even when they were producing like Looney Tunes, Warner was producing some stuff late 70s, early 80s. And they'd get like Frisk Freeling and Chuck, Jones doing it, but it was much more limited animation. And the animation itself didn't generally look that good. But they were still aiming for the classic look of the characters. They weren't trying to suddenly make the characters look like Hanna-Barbera. And their TV stuff was designed for it was designed for TV, where you're not going to have as many frames per second, where you have to find ways to save money to make it work. But they didn't do that with the Looney Tunes. They kept trying to at least produce what they did. And so it didn't come out as good. But some of the stuff that's come out now, it's like, well, let's make Disney and Warner Brothers look like everything else. Oh, man, your value is that you don't look like everything else. Your value is you go look at those old cartoons. Hey, Raimi. And they are gorgeous, I mean, even at the point where some of them weren't awesome, they oftentimes still look pretty damn good. At any rate, this looks like it looks kind of like the right style for Daffy. I kind of like that, but I haven't seen anything about it, like, a trailer or anything. I don't know what it is they're going to put it in front of. Sadly, they're probably going to put it in front of a movie I don't want to watch. And I'm kind of beyond the point. My wife and I did that with the Roger Rabbit shorts that they did. We went to a couple movies we were not interested in. Oh, there's Man of War too. Very mixed feelings on. Yeah, see, I know. I get you, man. I get you. Because it's modern day. And Conan is not for modern day. But but if they could do Conan right, it'd be awesome. If they could do it right, yeah. But my wife and I went to a couple movies that we had no interest in to watch the Roger Rabbit shorts. There was I don't think we did it with the hospital one, but I remember we went to Sutton for Roller Coaster Rabbit and, what did they call the other? Was it Boobs in the Woods? Is that what they called that one? I can't remember now. Any rate, and those are funny cartoons. And I remember, I don't know if we were husband and wife yet. We might have not been married yet, but she's like, well, let's go. Cartoon's over. And I'm like, I'm not going. I mean, I paid for a ticket to this movie. I'm watching the damn movie, whether I like it or not. And she was probably right. I probably should have just gone. One of them she hated and I didn't think was that bad. I thought it had some good qualities to it. It was one about a boy who he's kind of a spoiled kid who gets like lost in the desert. I can't remember how that happens, and he has to find his way out and survive. I thought it was okay. The other one was the sequel to Neverending Story, which was a good name for that one. It felt never ending. And it's the reason I was like, did not want to see the Neverending Story, because I saw the sequel and I was like, oh, that was not good. And we did finally watch Neverending Story, me and my daughter. I don't know if my wife was in the room paying attention, but we finally watched it. I was like, oh, that's actually pretty good. There were some good things in that movie. So I was glad I finally watched it. But yeah, I don't know that I'm going to go watch a movie for a Daffy Duck short at this point in time. Oh, Trail Mix-Up. Okay, Trail Mix-Up. There we go. Yeah, I swear Boobs in the Woods was maybe an old Looney Tunes one, where they could get away with stuff like that. Well, look, it has friggin' Jessica Rabbit in it, so it could be subtitled Boobs in the Woods. Okay, what? Oh, this is, and so this, now I've done a couple things that are maybe happier. We got to address this as well. James Burrows passed away June 19th. Started his career doing directing and such on Mary Tyler Moore Show. Directed on Taxi, Bob Newhart Show, Cosby Show, Golden Girls, Frasier, co-created Cheers. And what I didn't know, my wife dug this up yesterday, his dad was one of the creators of Duffy's Tavern, which is a classic old-time radio program that a lot of people compare to Cheers. And even though the comparisons made a lot, I'd never heard that there was a relationship there. But one of the greats, man, one of the greats of that TV era. And God bless him. He passed away on June 19th. So rest in peace and Godspeed to James Burrows. Man, that's, you look at some of these shows, I don't know. Mary Tyler Moore's what? A 50-year-old show, Taxi, Bob Newhart, Cosby Show, we're talking 40 years ago, Golden Girls, 40, and Golden Girls is kind of a thing again for a younger generation. Frasier, obviously, I mean, still kind of happening to an extent. But some of these shows, I don't know, there's a lot of shows that are being made today that are going to be watched 50 years from now. But I have a weird feeling some of these 50-year-old shows are still going to get watched. Now, not necessarily by a mass audience, but are going to get watched 50 years from now. Because, first of all, they're good. And second of all, if you're a filmmaker, you could learn something from them about what they did and how they did it. So they're worth watching from that standpoint, too. But yeah, so rest in peace, James Burrows, and Godspeed. Godspeed. Let's look at a couple recent acquisitions in the den that I wanted to talk about. So this one actually, it actually released maybe a couple months ago, maybe a month ago. I'd been collecting the books, and they stopped showing up at my local comic shop. So I'd had to buy one. I got one through mycomicshop.com. And then I come back and look, and the other one's out. So I grabbed it as well, plus a little extra, which I'll talk about. But I'm talking about Spirit of the Shadows. So it's 5 issues. Tells a complete story, but actually leaves a little bit of room open to do more. So I'm not going to, I'll throw up the spoilers sign just in case. But I'm trying to make this non-spoilery. But the overall storyline has to do with a guy who kind of awakens in the afterlife, and it's kind of a scary afterlife. And he discovers that the process here is you wake up into this afterlife with no memories of your life, but you have a book, the book of your life. You're expected to read through it. I guess the idea being you're reading through almost from a neutral perspective. And then you're going to stand judgment to see if you're going to go into, paradise, heaven, basically. He ends up getting his book destroyed by this monster because there's these sort of demon-like monsters in this afterlife. And he saves this, and I think it's in the process of him saving this woman who's being attacked. And she's lost her book. If you lose your book, you can't be judged to go into paradise. You're out of luck. You're stuck here. But he saves her. And she starts helping him put his book back together. All the pages are everywhere. So they're going around doing this stuff. Now, this dude did not lead a blameless life. And he is sort of he was brought back from the dead. And you get a lot of interesting elements in this story. You get some interesting art from Nick Cagnetti, which I think is how you pronounce the name properly. It's got a little bit of a Kirby, a little bit of maybe a little Ditko in here and there, but definitely a little Kirby kind of feel to it. And it's not an art style I immediately took to. When I picked up the first issue, I was intrigued. It grew on me as I went through the book. But you learn more about his life. It involves love and loss. It involves revenge and madness. It involves terrible crimes. We learn more about this woman that he's run into, who is tied to his life. There's a witch wanting revenge as well. It's got a lot of that to it, and it ends up in, for me, a very satisfying ending. So I was very impressed with Spirit of the Shadows. I'm glad I picked it up. Like I said, I was a little hesitant at first, but ultimately, it delivered for me. It was a good read. I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it enough that I decided to go look for other stuff that he'd done. And when I found it, I was like, oh, well, that was another series that I had been really tempted to grab when I saw it on the shelves a couple years ago, but had never quite done it. It's called Pink Lemonade. So I read up on the overall storyline, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of intrigued. So I went ahead and grabbed it. Interestingly enough, at a price lower than I would have paid if I bought it off the shelves. And I got them all bagged and boarded. This was from mycomicshop.com, though, that I got it. You do got to watch out for witches, Raimi. You do got to watch out for witches. And it's a good story, though, with that witch. Good little story arc for her. So I'm going to give Pink Lemonade a try. I've not read it yet. Like I said, I'm finishing up on a lot of back issues of George Perez. Whoops. Oh, boy. I knew I was going to knock those over eventually. That's some stuff coming up. I'm reading this, the George Perez Wonder Woman, which I kind of remembered enjoying back in the 80s when I got some issues. But I'm a little more conflicted on it now. I'm going, I don't know, man. There's good, but again, it gets a little heavy-handed, I think, trying to be pro-woman. Well, I'm not saying you shouldn't be, pro-woman. You shouldn't be anti-anybody if you could avoid it, but it's like there's a way to do it that feels authentic and genuine, and there's a way to do it that feels like you're kind of rolling over, and so somebody will pat your belly. With any kind of advocacy, is it genuine? Does it come from a place of a real character? Some of it feels a little forced to me, I have to admit. But when I'm done with that, I will read Pink Lemonade, and I'll maybe do a video on it, or at least talk about it here. I can take you're right. I can take spoilers off now. Done spoiling everything. And I don't think I really spoiled it, honestly. And it's a couple months old. But at any rate. Raimi says, I know this is going to sound nutty, but I've had a couple of curses by witches. I have no love for them at all. Yeah, okay. I don't know if I've ever been cursed by a witch, but I'll put the power of God up against them any day of the week. So the other one that I want to talk about. Now, I have actually talked about this before because I read the digital version when it first came out. But I finally got the physical delivered, and that is Perfect 10 from Genuine Comics, Dave Brink, a fine Dutch fellow. And so I thought I'd bring it up again because he also has a Kickstarter going right now and we'll talk about it in a moment, for a new book that does sort of feed off the end of this one. Perfect 10's a great series. It's very superhero. There's a lot of interesting characters, but it's a genuinely interesting take on this woman who is essentially a cloned assassin. And that's kind of where the 10 comes in. She is number 10. And so it starts with the facility that she is kept in, because she's only awakened when they want her to do a job, being invaded by these supervillains who feel like, they need to make a decisive strike against the government because it's going after them hardcore. So she's freed in the process, and now she's not programmed, and she's got to kind of figure things out. But she does have a skill set for survival. it's interesting. Good emotional connections with other characters. Good story. Now, issue number 6 is sort of like, and I talk about this sometimes, Joseph Rocco, pop culture sucks these days. It kind of does. But there's always good little pockets, though. You got to look for the pockets. It sounds like Scud with no humor. Yeah, it's not designed for humor. That's true. It's not, but there's a little humor in it. I mean, sometimes. But this is the kind of issue, though, where the main fight, the main bad guy has been taken down to the extent they could. And this is sort of the follow-up. And it's kind of interesting as you kind of see her, like, what am I going to do now with the rest of my life? And the people that are close to her. And it does, like I say, kind of feed into the next series that he's doing. It sets a few things up, but it feeds into the next series, which is about essentially a superhero team called Safeguard. But Genuine does some nice work, good art, fun, action-packed stories. It feels probably more like 90s comics than with the Bronze Age stuff that I kind of grew up on. But it's good stuff. You might want to check him out. And he's got other stuff as well. But we'll talk about his Kickstarter in just a moment. And what else did I get with that? Let's organize these a little bit. We got these little trading cards with it as well. Virgil Pratt is the guy who helped create her. What's that? Max Magenta. Crimson. He's got a superhero universe that, in terms of the number of characters, like rivals Marvel and DC. And, you know, that's the one thing that's a little bit frustrating. You're going, oh, I wish these were like all monthly titles, because there's so many characters that you'd like to see more of, that you'd like to see, you know, their stories in detail. I've even thought it would be great if they do like a official handbook of the Genuine Universe thing, just so I could see the characters more, because the Perfect 10 series is like big supervillain and superhero organizations going up against each other. But it works, and it works well, even though for most readers, especially for me, I could speak for myself, I didn't have like a connection. It's not like I'm looking at Avengers versus Justice League, where I know these characters and I followed them in one form or another for decades. So that brings stuff in. It's these are all new characters, but he did a nice job of giving them enough personality, enough of a hook, you know, that you do care a bit about them and what goes on. And it's a good series. So I wanted to highlight that again. And we'll, like I said, we'll talk about the new Kickstarter. Ramey says, I really miss comic book companies. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like they've kind of fallen apart with bad management, but a lot of people put out good stuff these days, but they're smaller companies or they're individuals, so they can't get stuff out rapidly, and it's more expensive. And you realize there is value to a comic book company that can handle the accounting, handle the printing and publishing, handle the distribution, handle the marketing for people, so they don't all have to do it themselves. Unfortunately, they've just been so badly managed that you're almost at the point where they might as well go away. The big two, Marvel and DC, they're just not what they were. They could be again. Who knows? It's possible. It's possible. But again, it's like with Hollywood. It's the leadership is the problem. It's the executives, and not just the top leadership. It goes down into the middle management, I think, as well a bit. But the top is where the change is going to happen, and the change ain't happening. Ramey says, not indie published. I mean, brick and mortar. Oh, yeah, exactly. I know what you, yeah, exactly. Let's look at some coming attractions. New Hasbro G.I. Joe classified pre-orders up at Big Bad Toy Store, $28 per figure. Now, these are not the retro ones that I typically go for, but obviously the G.I. Joe has fans well beyond me. We got Duke. We got Toxo Viper. We got Mistress Armada. You guys say, I've never heard of Toxo Viper or Mistress Armada. We got Axel Synapse Soma. Never heard of him. Iceberg I've heard of. So we got Iceberg as well. So a couple of characters at least I've heard of. Now, Hasbro also has announced a G.I. Joe Lara Croft collaboration. So on Hasbro Pulse. I'm not sure when this is coming out. Not sure what it's going to cost. If it's going to be the same $28 price point or they're going to pump it up a little bit because it's special. And they have 3 other renderings up of more retro figures that are coming soon. Falcon, which I believe was in the one G.I. Joe movie. Didn't Don Johnson, I think, did the voice, which of course got kids really excited. Valkyrie, which I think are the Baroness's, shock troops. Which, if you remember that one episode, I gotta find it again, where the Joes go through the portal into like the evil world where Cobra's taken over. And the Baroness's like guards, like were basically in bikinis with the helmet and the mask, and almost kind of in like bikinis. It was sort of weird. Yeah, it does kind of look more like the new Lara Croft. Yeah. I guess the first thing I noticed was, well, could be a little larger in certain places if it's Lara Croft. Hey, I never played the games, but I'm aware. And then we also got Flash, and that one I will definitely buy, because that's what I've allowed myself is I will buy these G.I. Joe Classified Retros of the figures that I owned back in the day, which was that first wave, and Doc. And there's a couple other ones I might grab because I always thought they were kind of fun, but I'm like limiting myself severely. But Flash is definitely in. I had that dude, and he's actually sitting up on my shelf right now, missing, I believe, his forearm. Yeah, when I got the old Joes out, it was like, oh, cool. In my mind, I treated these things with a great deal of care. And then I started looking at him. I'm like, oh, he's missing an arm. 4 or 5 of them aren't there anymore. I don't have them anymore. It bums me out. Thumbs missing. I'm like, oh, yeah, I played with these things like hell, didn't I? I was not gentle. I was not gentle with my G.I. Joes. But come on. They're American heroes. They're warriors. Of course they're not going to be treated gently. It's fine. From Graham Nolan. He has announced a new superhero book within his existing Compass Comics universe. It's going to be called The Fantastics, and it takes 2 leads from his Monster Island books and gives them powers, which he says, trust me, it makes sense. And I don't know what kind of powers we're talking about at this point, but here is the lady, and there is the gentleman, and there's some other characters as well. He's put some samples up, so he's working on that now. I think he just missed the superhero genre a bit, and the character designs look great, and I'm excited. I'd like to see it. I love superheroes, and I've loved the work that he's done with Compass Comics, Joe Frankenstein, Monster Island, The Ghosts of Matacumba Key. I've talked about all those on this channel. All great artists, and so I'm looking forward to this. And the Monster Island books were a lot of fun. I like those characters, so we'll see what they end up doing next, and how it all blends with everything. Because all of his books that he does, including Alien Alamo, and The Chinoo, I was combining them. They're all part of the same universe. We'll see how it all comes together. But something to look forward to. I don't know what the timetable is on that one. There's the book I was talking about. Safeguard. It is a superhero team. You can see 10 standing back there. Like I said, it is teased in the Perfect 10 number 6, where she decides that she's going to maybe join this team because she needs a home, and fighting bad guys is what she's good at. And she feels like she has some things she needs to make up for. So that Kickstarter is now live. Go check it out. I think today I saw he's about 60% funded at this point. I backed it. Might want to check it out. Dave Brink does good work. Always solid art. Genuine Comics is for real. Great stuff. And, he's an indie guy. And but he puts out a pretty good amount of stuff. He really does. So well worth checking into, and check out his website too for all books that from the past. He's got them up there. And then finally, for all the monster kids out there, Tomorrow's Publishing is putting out a sequel to Mark Voger's Monster Mash with Son of Monster Mash, now up for pre-order on their website for $46. It's 192 pages. And you know what? I'm a fool. I should have brought in. We bought, I got for my wife for Christmas a book that he did, similar style, about Christmas, because my wife is a Christmas fanatic and she loves it. And she's always finding cool stuff in it. I should have brought it in here. I could have shown that off as sort of a sample of what he does. But this is all about the monster stuff from the past that we all love. This is a sequel. And I think I might grab it, because I know he does good work. But if you love that stuff, if you were a monster kid, probably a lot of great memories for you in this book. You might want to check that one out. All right. We got a few more little reviews to do here on this particular episode. We'll start with Super 7, because I have them sitting on top of the stack, and that's going to be easier for me. So Super 7 has been doing its Micronauts line. And here's where I got to try to get the glare off. They have two new ones in their newest wave. They got Phobos, which does reuse, some tooling, which is fine. And they put out the Orange Time Traveler, which I really dig. I am a fan. I'm a fan of orange. I'm going to tell you, I've never thought of it as like my favorite color, but I'm often really attracted to stuff. And Mid-Century did a lot of great stuff with the color orange. Oh, plus you got Ben Grimm. So we're going to open these. We're going to take them off card. Got my little pen knife down here. I think I can do these without making a horrible, horrible racket, but we will find out. We will find out. Oh yeah, that split pretty good. But it's always the plastic that's the key. It's always, you know what I'll do? I'll keep them inside. No, I don't want to keep them in the plastic. If I do that, we're going to have the glare problem. Let me see. Get his head loose. All right, there we go. Come on, legs. There we go. All right, it's all part of the fun, having your ears assaulted by the sound of that plastic. So let's see. We'll hold this in front. Got to sort of do it to the side. There we go. Okay. So there we go. Whoops. There we go. There's our Time Traveler. That's not working. I can't track what I'm doing. There's the Time Traveler. Now, if you've seen, I did a previous video on these. They look great. They're a little bigger than the original figures. Pretty good range of motion. I don't know what the hell I'm having him do here. But that's just to show what moves, what doesn't. Of course, the head twists. But they did a nice job of recreating these. They really did. Like I say, they're a little bit bigger than the original Micronaut figures. Just a tad bigger. And some of these, obviously would have been a lot bigger in reality. Now, I don't know about Phobos. I am not a Micronauts. I'm a Micronauts fan, but I'm not really super knowledgeable about them, because at the age I would have been getting a lot of Micronauts, and I did have a couple vehicles. I was fully in on Star Wars by that point. So, and my family didn't have like a ton of money to go through. Do that underneath here, so hopefully it's not quite as noisy. So we didn't have a ton of money. So, I wasn't like the kid who got one of everything that he wanted for Christmas. I was sort of like, I had a few Star Wars figures. I had a couple Star Wars vehicles, but not a ton. Not a ton. So I didn't really get much of the Micronaut stuff. There we go. So Phobos I don't know much about, but he's got a Biotron body. Let's see. It doesn't open up just like him, but it does have the track on the back. So there's Phobos. You can kind of see that Biotron body he's got there. But these are nice figures. They do a good job with them. Like I said, good range of motion, bend at the waist. the head moves, etc. In this case, the little hands rotate. So you can see all that kind of stuff. They're fun. But now the Phobos, I need to look into that, what the size was, because, oh, do I dare? If I pick Biotron up, his damn arms are going to fall off. I did a Biotron thing on another live stream. You can go watch it. But the Biotron is big. He's a big character because the Micronauts would actually fit inside that little compartment. And they could sort of drive him like he's a tank. So I don't know if the original Phobos was the same thing using it, but I have a feeling it probably was, since it used the same tooling back then. And remember, Micronauts was like, the idea was it was sort of no, that's not the right word. I was going to say compartmentalized. No, it's you could take everything apart and put it back together in different ways. It was one of the fun things about that series. The vehicles, you could take them apart, create new vehicles, combine vehicles together. You could do that to some degree with some of the characters as well. So there we go. Super 7's new Micronaut wave. I've been grabbing all these. I'll probably continue to, even when they're just repaints, because I just dig them. And I do now finally have a few of the original Micronauts, thanks to a friend, a viewer, a guy who used to do some drawing for me, some art in some of my role-playing game work. He had some, and he sent them on to me, Dennis. But so I do have a few originals, but I'm collecting these because I don't have a lot of the original stuff, and I just love the look of it. That translucent. Remember when translucent was just the single coolest thing in the world for sci-fi toys? It was a certain period. Star Wars really changed everything. It had such an interesting, distinctive look to it that it rewrote what everything was supposed to look like, to the point that even later Star Trek stuff is a little bit more like Star Wars than original Star Trek. But before that, everything was translucent, it was clean, white surfaces. There was a particular look for a while. Again, separate from the 70s bleak sci-fi. There was a certain look that we had for a little while. And then kind of Star Wars sort of, rolled over it. I would love to collect the new Diaclone. Yeah, I've seen the new Diaclone series, Raimi. And they're really, really, really cool. Where do we go here? Raimi said, I thought someone was launching the Disney Incredible comic book universe, but not in a cartoony style. I don't get it. Disney had a built-in. Oh, yeah. Well, Disney did the same thing when they got the John Carter of Mars. Which it was a kind of a good movie. I enjoyed it for the most part. I had some quibbles, but they were buying Star Wars. And so they pretty much purposely destroyed the thing, because you wouldn't want to have two successful film franchises going at the same time. That would be terrible. Disney is one of the worst run companies I think there ever was. But they have those parks that frankly were built by Walt and his era, and a lot of great Imagineers over the years. And that's kept them alive. But I don't know, man. So, other ones what I wanted to talk about. We got McFarlane Super Friends. We got a couple new releases. Super Friends Wonder Woman. And we got the Casey Kasem Robin. And since I got the Robin, I'm like, I better go back and buy the Batman, because it'd be kind of stupid. Although I did just buy one Wonder Twin. Well, the Jaina Wonder Twin figure looked great, and the Zan, they gave him this really weird sort of stubby neck. Just didn't look good. So I grabbed one. All right, okay, that's opening pretty easy too. Not too bad, not too bad. Oh, come on. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. There we go. Just enough that I can get the figure out. I'll do it under the table again, so it maybe doesn't make quite as much racket. I think it's making a lot of racket. Oh, for pity's sake. Oh, yeah, that's got it. She's strapped in. All right, hold on here. Hold on here. Can I do this without damaging anything. Oh, by golly, maybe not. What is it caught on? All right. I'm going to hit mute for just a minute. All right, but I still have to get these dang rubber bands to snap. And I am now realizing I need to sharpen my pocket knife. There we go. And I only managed to cut myself a little bit. Come on. There we go. My God. All right. Now we're going to make it. Okay, now we're going to mute again. All right. All right. All right. We got it out. We got it out. That was a little tough. I won't lie. I am not going to mess with the lasso at the moment. But oops, there we go. I don't get it. There we go. Facing on. So there we have Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman. I should do it this way because I'm more coordinated with that hand. There we go. Not too bad. And I got a little blurry there, but I kind of like they did the highlights in the hair as well, which is cool. So weird thing about me. I really like Wonder Woman's hair in the Super Friends cartoons. I don't know what that means. It's like that mid-century flip. I always kind of, well, I won't say always. As a kid, I'm sure I didn't notice, but as an adult, I've always been kind of like, I kind of like that hair. I like that hairstyle in Wonder Woman. I don't know, stuff, it strikes me in ways that are just not maybe normal. I'm a weird dude. So anyways, what do we have here? We have a decent range of movement on these characters in the Super Friends series. It's not like some of the other ones that you can do really wild posing with. These, I think, are really much better as, just sort of static things that you display on your shelf. And obviously, they're going to primarily appeal to people who grew up on the Super Friends cartoons, which I did. Those were some of my first introductions to these characters. I knew Batman and Robin from the TV show. And, that was why I was having trouble there. Jeez. There we go. I knew Batman and Robin from the TV show. Grew up on that. And I definitely remember watching the Filmation cartoon with my dad. I have a very strong memory of us watching that one day. There's only a couple cartoons I remember watching with my father, particularly. And that was one of them. And the other two, I should say, was Tarzan, which I think was also Filmation. And, the Tarzan one might have been part of the same cartoon block. Oops, sorry about that. Might have been part of the same cartoon block as the Batman one. It's possible. All right, let me hit mute for just see, if I hit mute, then I could get these out of the package a heck of a lot faster. So now they've already, I think, had done the evil Robin. Because they had done a cartoon where there was an evil universe, so there were evil versions of all the characters. And I got to be honest with you. If I can get the face in there and get it to clear enough, I think they just reused the evil Robin face and tried to make him not look as evil. It's got a certain, there's a certain evilness to Robin's face there. I don't know, but I like it. We got the black interior cape that they'd used. And there we go on the exterior. Not too bad. And of course, the same range of movement as the Wonder Woman. That was the Casey Kasem Robin from back in the day. But at any rate, I Oh, the other cartoon I remember watching with my father was Looney Tunes. When they would do like the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show and the Sylvester Tweety show and whatever. They'd always have different names, but it was all basically just the old cartoons in different packages. That is where One Froggy Evening became essentially a cult hit. And a few. I mean, that's where the Tasmanian Devil became a much bigger character than he had been in the old days. Roadrunner was a big character from the start. So Roadrunner was already pretty big, but Tasmanian Devil became a big character because of those cartoons. But I can still remember my father, and I remember this particular thing he said when those cartoons would come on. I remember him saying, now these are the good cartoons. It's not like this Saturday morning crap you've been watching. This is the good stuff. So I got to credit my father. Introduced me to those. I mean, I probably would have seen them anyways, just being Saturday morning. You just stared at the TV. Introduced me to those, though. Little Rascals. I remember us watching Laurel and Hardy. Stuff like that. So, you know, my dad introduced me to a few of the good stuff. That's what I tried to do with my daughter as well. All right, that ought to be the last time I need to mute anything. Does the Burroughs family? I think they do. Although, I mean, how far away can Tarzan be at this point from public domain? He's got to be public domain by now, right? At least some aspects of him have to be. Some of those stories. Some of the Tarzan stuff was pretty far back. Let's see if we can get a quick answer here on that. I'm glad you brought that up. I hadn't thought about it. Let's see. Is Tarzan public domain? Anyhow, well, that's working. Here's the Batman figure. So this is from an earlier wave. Get my hand up here. That might help a little bit. There we go. And this is one of the Batman characters I really grew up on Super Friends, etc. Voiced by Olin Soul. What I found is when I read just actual books, literature, and when I read, or he's angry. Maybe Robin's angry. Well, I mean, look what he's a grown man now, and he's still dressed in that costume. You know, he hadn't gone Nightwing yet. Would have loved to have seen a Nightwing character from the old Super Friends. That would have been kind of fun. They got Cyborg in there in some of the later seasons, but I don't know if Robin was still Robin in the early New Teen Titans. I don't know. At any rate, the original Tarzan story, published in 1912, is public domain. The first 13 Tarzan books are public domain through Tarzan at the Earth's Core. So you can do that. But here's the catch, of course. Okay, they are trademarks, though, owned by Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated, the family-run business. So, and they do guard that. So they got the trademark. So what you could do, kind of like what they're doing with the Atlantean that I've talked about, where it's King Cole, but he's not King Cole on the cover. So with a trademark, you got to maybe make the likeness a little different, although not that much, because you could base it on the descriptions in the friggin' books, but you can't call him Tarzan. So you could do a comic called Jungle Lord, and in the interior, you could call him Tarzan. It's fine. And you'd have to base it specifically on those 13 books. So if there's something that was introduced later, you can't use that. It's still under copyright. But those originals, you could still base it on. But it's that trademark is what you got to watch out for. And some trademark holders are a little more robust in their defense of trademarks. So they'll try to make you sorry you're doing it through legal action, even if they don't really have a legal argument to be made. And so a lot of people are just like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. We're not going to even bother. So we'll see. But I guess some of it's public domain for sure. So here we go. Super Friends figures. I really like this series, honestly, that McFarlane has done. And I'm glad they're still producing a few of them. I know I'm doing a terrible job of holding these up to the camera. There we go. But I think they've done a nice job with them. I bought a Jaina of the Wonder Twins because I dig her. I got the Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, because that was my dude when I played with friends on the playground as a kid, elementary school. I was always the Green Lantern. I thought he was the coolest. And we kind of fought over the Green Lantern. Who could be Green Lantern? It was that power ring. You could make anything. You could take your imagination and make it real. That was very cool. Even though Superman's probably more powerful, Batman's really cool, and I grew up on Batman, but his Green Lantern was the thing. So I got him, and I got Aquaman, because I love Aquaman from the Super Friends. Very positive character. Taught me how to make a tambourine out of beans and paper plates. For that, I owed him an action figure on my shelf. It took me forever to put that the town of Tarzana was named. Yeah, it was. Oh, Edgar Rice Burroughs had a lot of good stuff. He invented kind of the modern action movie in a lot of ways, even though he didn't make movies. But, used that serial style. And, Burroughs and, what's his name, just disappeared from my head. But, a couple guys back then did some really amazing work. Yeah, Robert E. Howard, too. Good stuff. Well, those are my little reviews. So we got the cool Micronaut figures from Super 7. I have enjoyed these. I'll continue to get them as long as they're making them, as long as the prices don't go up again. And I was hoping they would do something maybe in terms of like a vehicle or a larger figure, but maybe they will at some point. We got Wonder Woman from McFarlane. One of my favorite versions of Wonder Woman. They hadn't screwed with the character at that point. I'm on the verge of maybe starting to collect a few of the older Bronze Age Wonder Womans. Because I got to be honest, the Perez stuff's not really doing it for me. There's old Robin. Great character. Who also kind of got, they kind of messed with him a little bit in Teen Titans over time. And of course, older one, but we'll get Batman in here. Because he is the classic. The classic. And then, I was saying that. When I read books, when I read comics, I tend to, in my head, provide voices, usually from actors. It's a certain actor will suddenly kind of pop in like, his cadence would be perfect. And I can kind of hear the dialogue in that actor's voice when I'm reading in my head. And for Bronze Age to Silver Age, even Golden Age Batman, it's always Olin Soul is the voice that just is what I hear. And then for later 80s into the 90s, it's always, what's his name? Did the Batman animated series. Oh, God, why have I just lost his name? A couple times. The senior moments, they're a-coming. Anyhow. So Olin Soul, big fan. Not a guy, you look at Olin Soul and you do not see superhero. So one last thing for this little chat. I wanted to bring this up. Oops. Bring up the next image. There we go. So this is an image that popped up on Twitter. I forgot who did it. I apologize for that. So what we have here is a rack of comic books and magazines. Very cool. You got a ton in there. Now, I went ahead and kind of blew it up a little bit and did a real close look. I couldn't figure out every single title. But are you ready for it? Just on that little rack you see, and you see there's more there as well that we don't even see. Just on that rack. Here we go. This is going to take a minute. Shadow Comics, Flame Comics, Jumbo Comics. So that's stuff with, I believe, with Sheena in it. Rangers of Freedom, Shield Wizard, Prince Valiant, Wings Comics, Buck Rogers, Dickie Dare, Heroic Comics, Young Allies. So that's Bucky and Toro and all them. Our Flag Comics, Marvel Mystery Comics, Pep Comics, so that's your Archie stuff. I think Archie was around by then, because I do know when this was basically taken. Eagle Comics, Startling Comics, Popeye, World's Finest Comics, Daredevil, Flash Comics. Remember, that's the original Golden Age Daredevil. Superman, of course. Exciting Comics, Captain America, Star Spangled Comics, Amazing Man Comics, Sparkler, More Fun Comics. That's where your Spirit, Dr. Fate, Captain Marvel Adventures, Jackpot Comics, King Comics, Wiz Comics, again Captain Marvel, Scoop, Champ, Hit Comics, Bullet Man, Wonder World Comics, Magic Comics, Sensation Comics, Wonder Woman, although maybe not by this time, but maybe. I'd have to check. Doc Savage, Real Life, Fight Comics, True Comics, Action Comics, Walt Disney Comics, War Comics, Human Torch, Victory, Submariner, The Nebs, Popular Comics, Military Comics, that's your Black Hawk, Daring Comics, Big Shot Comics, Target Comics, All Winners Comics. Now that was the superhero team up with Captain America, Human Torch, Submariner. That would become a teen humor book. Covered that in that other video I did. All American Comics, Actual Detective, Strength and Health. So now we're out of comic books a little bit. Charm, Glamour, Battle Planes, Judge, very popular old magazine. Leading Comics, Thrilling Comics, Top Notch Comics, Mystic Comics, National Comics, Planet Comics, one of the greats. Movie Album, Silver Screen, Screen Romances, Modern Screen, Movie Life, Song Parade, Top Notch Songs, True Romance, Vogue, and Argosy, one of the classic pulp fiction titles. So how do we know when this was? Well, if you look at the bottom of the rack, you can make out the cover of Batman number 9, which was released, I believe, in December of 1941. So this is an image from 1941, December. Was it before the attack on Pearl Harbor, or was it after the attack on Pearl Harbor? Don't know. But look at all of those comics, all of those titles. Can you imagine? Now we're talking, what, about a dime each? So what are we looking at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Man, it's maybe about like 15 by what, 5? We're talking maybe 70, 80 probably. And if you extend it, probably 100 books there. If you can go back and buy all those and keep them in really good condition, they'd be worth a lot of money today. A lot of money today, man. And they were just rags. You read them, you threw them away. But amazing. And so much pop culture knowledge in those things. So much great art. And some terrible art, too. Let's be honest. Some Golden Age books had terrible art. But some of them were just beautiful. So there you go. December 1941, a slice in time. A couple guys at a lunch counter with the magazine racks in the back. And there's books down there, too. Oh, love it if I could just jump into that place in that time just to look around. It would be fantastic. That will do it. For Dad's Den, live in the Den today, this Sunday. Hope everybody enjoyed themselves. Got to look at a few cool action figures. And we got to look at some cool comics, which are now buried under action figure packaging. So I'm not going to bring them up again. But Perfect 10 by Dave Brink, Genuine Comics, issue number 6. The whole series is good. Looking forward to Safeguard. And he's got some other stuff out there, too. You might want to check him out. If you enjoy superheroes, he does them right. And Spirit of the Shadows, 5-issue limited series that I enjoyed. I think it was really solid. I'm going to check out Pink Lemonade, and I'll maybe report on that one later to everybody. Coming up this week in Dad's Den, Monday, Balder the Brave, number 1. Yes, it's Mighty Thor Monday, but we're taking a little trip through the Balder the Brave limited series because it takes place at the point that we're at in the Thor comics, and then we'll be hitting the Thor Invasion of Hell after that. So we're going to do all 4 of the Balder the Braves. Wednesday, I delayed this video because the Archie one did so damn well. Wednesday, Splinter of the Mind's Eye review the old Star Wars novel, the first Star Wars novel that was not an adaptation by Alan Dean Foster, which was designed to be the sequel to Star Wars if Star Wars didn't end up doing that well. Cool book. It was the first novel I ever read as a kid in 5th grade. So I'm going to do a review of that one. Definitely Wednesday. And on Friday, Peter Gunn. I'm going to do a review of the Peter Gunn TV series. I'm almost through with my first full watch through of Peter Gunn. And I can tell you right now, it is a series that I've been watching that I'm going to continue to watch over again from episode 1 because I love it. So expect a positive review. But I will do the Peter Gunn review on Friday. I mean, unless Splinter of the Mind's Eye is suddenly heading towards 10,000 views as well, then I might delay Peter Gunn, but we'll see. Probably not. It's Star Wars, though, so you never know. Maybe I'll get lucky again. But there you go, folks. Hope everybody has an awesome Sunday. Thank you, everybody. Lady Gwendolyn Ramey, Man of War, Fabrizio Aiello, and Joseph Rocco, thank you for popping in. I do appreciate everybody, and everybody who wasn't in the chat but was watching, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. It's just fun to chat about things and nerdy pop culture things. I hope you enjoy it too. We'll be back next Sunday, and like I said, videos this week. So until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. Watch something fun. Read something fun. Do something fun. Go out and touch grass. Get out there. There's all sorts of craziness in the world, but try to find the positive as well, folks. That's going to help you out. I will see you hopefully again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.